Well, UFC 193 is less than 24 hours away, and it is shaping up to be one of the biggest events, if not the biggest event, in the promotion's history. Hello again, everyone. This is the UFC 193 MMAfighting.com preview show, and we have called upon two partners of ours over at SBNation.com, Australia's own two proud Australian MMA media members. That is Kacper, that is Denis. You know them from Submission Radio. They are doing a fantastic job over there. And right off the top, I have to say, if you haven't checked out their stuff over at YouTube, the Submission Radio page, you are missing out. They're doing fantastic work, as I said. Kacper, I appreciate your time. Denis, I appreciate your time as well to do one of these, such a big event, a historic event for the UFC. We couldn't get just an American media member. We needed two guys who have been following this MMA media scene, and in particular the Australian scene, for quite some time. So we appreciate your time here, and let's get right into it because the weigh-ins just completed. It was pretty intense. There were some fireworks, in particular in the main event. Holm and Ronda Rousey got into it. Do you think this will increase the interest in the card in the next few hours leading up to the fight?
I think one of the biggest questions is, was that something in order to increase the interest? Was that Ronda Rousey being told in the back? Because it's weird. Holm and Ronda Rousey, they've both been very cordial to each other, both been very courteous. Of all her feuds, if you look at Betchkahea, there was so much bad blood. With Holm, there was absolutely nothing. And then Ronda Rousey explodes right at the end. They clash. Ronda Rousey talks about how she's being fake and she sees through all that. Where did all that come from?
Yeah.
So the way I see it, I think Ronda Rousey, she's a very emotional person. I think it was genuine. Weight cutting, it's not fun. I've never done it, but from everything that I've heard, it's a bad experience. So I can put that to the weight cut. But I do think it will raise interest in the event. A really last-ditch effort.
The interesting thing is, Ariel, I mean, you're a pro wrestling fan yourself. There's a total poppy syndrome here in Australia where people don't actually like it when somebody brags too much. People don't like it when you sort of put yourself over. And at the end there, we did speak to some people who sort of changed their mindset a little bit. Throughout this week, Holm has become more of a favourite, and Ronda Rousey a bit more of a heel, because Holm has a relatable story to a lot of the Australians here.
Great point. I even noticed at the open workout on Thursday, I noticed Holly was getting a big reaction, a big pop from the crowd, to steal another pro wrestling term. Are you sensing that more and more? And do you think come Sunday morning, I keep trying to think of Saturday, but it is Saturday morning right now, are you sensing come Sunday that Holly will actually get a bigger reaction, or let's not get crazy?
Let's not get crazy here, Ariel, but she will get a very good reaction. Boxing's in the blood of every Australian. It's a huge sport over here. Yeah. Obviously, a lot of people know her from her boxing credentials, and she's just got a story a lot of Australians can relate to. Ronda Rousey's a huge, huge figure in Australia. She's the reason why this event is as big as it is, but there's a big change happening, so she will get a lot more cheers when she comes out.
So both of you have been attending events here in Australia for quite some time. You were at the first one, UFC 110 in Sydney, and you were at the press conference when this was all announced. You were even there when they thought it was going to be Robbie Lawler, Carlos Condit. Would this event have been as big if it was those two guys headlining and not the women?
No, absolutely not. I think as far as casual fans go, everybody wanted to see Robbie Lawler and Carlos Condit. Everybody still does want to see it. And from what we've seen from the hardcore fans, they were disappointed when that card fell out or that fight fell out. But what happened was when you put Ronda Rousey on a card, you get all the casual fans, the people that don't even necessarily know anything about MMA. And I think that's a good thing because they'll come for Ronda Rousey, they'll stay for Holm and the rest of the Australians. So with Ronda Rousey, you can build an event. If you look at the card, it's not necessarily stacked card from top to bottom. They're building it very much around Ronda Rousey. And I don't think you can do that around, say, Robbie Lawler, Carlos Condit, because as great as a fight as it will be, I just don't think they're as big stars. With Ronda, you can put on a cooking show, you can put on the news, you can have her doing the weather. Everybody will tune in and watch it. Robbie Lawler, Carlos Condit, great fighters. I just don't know if they have that star power.
How big was Ronda before coming here and doing all the media? Did a lot of people know who she was even before they ever announced her on this card?
Yeah, absolutely massive. Almost like a pop icon here in Australia. A big figure for girls here. A lot of female athletes. Obviously, sports is very big in Australia. Lots of female athletes looking up to her. Book very, very big. So when she came down here, I mean, a huge, huge commotion happened. I think a lot of people realized this was the opportunity to meet Ronda, and that's why there was such a big buzz for the event.
Initially, they were kind of targeting around 70,000 fans for this massive event at Etihad Stadium. Do you think they'll get to that number tomorrow?
I don't think so, no. I think, look, me and Kacper were here in 2002 for WWE Global Warning and other...
We were at that event?
We were at that event. That had Brock Lesnar, that was supposed to have Hulk Hogan, had Triple H, The Rock, Kurt Angle, the biggest names, Vince McMahon, and they sold it out, but it was 56,000.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they have the name value for this event to sell 70. We're hearing that the upper seats, I think the prices were a bit too much. They could have been a bit lower at the beginning to get people to get those nosebleed section seats. And now there's just a bit of issue getting rid of them because it is a very, very big arena.
Yeah. How do the fans feel about coming on a Sunday morning? I know typically you watch the UFC on a Sunday morning / afternoon when the events are being held in the U.S., but to actually come out here and, drink a little bit and have a good time, do you think that stops some of the fans from attending the event?
I think a little bit, especially considering that it is on a Sunday morning. A lot of people go out on a Sunday night. In the past, when we've attended events, many times, obviously not as media as fans, we have still been drunk from the previous night, and it's quite an experience. I think a lot of people see it as, look, it's in the morning, it's in the afternoon. A lot of people are still waking up. They're a little bit hungover. I think a lot of people want to go to see it as more of a night event. I think it does hurt them a bit.
And just because I know you're big on statistics, Ariel, on the program on the MMA Hour, when we went to the events, like Kacper said, about 1 out of 5 people that actually bought tickets came down from our friendship group because they were still sleeping, couldn't wake up in time. It's very, very difficult, but it's also a very interesting scenario because you do get those people who just come straight from the pub to the event,
right.
And then
Wow.
you get some rowdy Australians early on in the night, early on in the morning, and then they're sort of a bit sleepy during the main event.
Yeah. That's a tough stretch. I mean, to go from the pubs all the way to the main event. By the time this is over, it's still going to be around early evening, Sunday afternoon. Okay, so here we are. We're less than 24 hours away, like I said, and everyone is telling me Melbourne is the sporting capital of Australia. If you want to really take in a sporting event in Australia, you have to come to Melbourne. I was at Acer Arena for UFC 127. My ears were ringing, and that was an amazing experience. That was BJ Penn versus John Fitch, certainly not Ronda Rousey. Are you telling me, I know there are more people here, but this crowd, you expect it to be more boisterous, louder, all that more into the event than they were in Sydney? Because those were some impressive crowds.
It could go either way, because the thing is, the people who went to UFC 110, as you yourself would know, it wasn't a stacked card.
Yeah.
And the UFC later admitted it was a bit of a card where it didn't really have a main event. BJ Penn versus John Fitch kind of was the main event by default. So the people who went to that event, they were all hardcore fans. The people that are coming here, there's a lot of casual MMA fans, a lot of, not even MMA fans, people that are here literally just for the experience, just for Ronda Rousey. I don't know how awake those people will be after, all the prelim cards. By the time Ronda Rousey comes out, a lot of those people, like you said, Dennis, they may be a little bit sleepy. It's also a bigger arena. I think your ears would have been ringing more at UFC 110. I don't know how loud the crowd's going to be this time around. It's going to be loud, but what we saw at the Wayne, which is all hardcore fans, I feel like there was a sleepy environment there.
And just on that, obviously a big arena, the sound, as you know, again from pro wrestling, travels up to the top, so you're not going to hear as much. A lot of people saying in these big arenas it can actually be quite quiet. So interesting to see with that. But yeah, Melbourne is a sporting capital. Possibly one of the biggest sporting capitals in the world, because for people that don't know, we've got the F1 here, the Australian Open, which is the tennis, the NRL, the NFL, we've got our own soccer, our own basketball, and the actual structures here around Rod Laver. We've got Rod Laver, Amy Stadium, a Vodafone Arena, MCG, which holds over 100,000 people. So those are all next to each other. This is Etihad Stadium. People are saying 70,000, that's a huge crowd. But if they're here for the Australian Football League during the grand final, it's over 100,000 at the MCG. So it's in the blood of every Australian here.
Wow. Fascinating insight, guys. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's talk about the fight. After what you saw at the weigh-ins, Ronda saying what she was saying, a little emotional. It appears as though Holly threw a punch, and I do suggest you check out Esther Lynn's photo of that because she captured it perfectly. Does this make you change your opinion about what's to come on Sunday?
Well, I don't think so. Look, I think Ronda Rousey is going to win it, but if Holly Holm is able to take it out of the first round into the second round, into the third round, we might see a fight. Mentally, Holly is, I believe, stronger in this fight. If Ronda does find herself out of the first round, what's she going to think mentally? She hasn't been out of the first round in quite some time. Is she going to doubt her abilities? Is she going to start believing that Holly Holm is a credible challenger? She's a lot more emotional, as we saw at the stare down, whereas Holly Holm, I think she's expecting a hard fight. This isn't going to be Kat Zingano. She's not going to run in. She's going to keep her distance. She's going to try to drag this thing out. We've seen it. Greg Jackson, our friend, Coach Winkle, John, they know what's going to happen here. We've spoken to Holly Holm throughout the week, and I have to say, yesterday at the media day, she did tear up a little bit when I was talking to her. I was talking to her about her relationship with Coach Wink, how he was in her corner from the beginning, and tears actually started coming out of her eyes. So she wants to deliver for all those people. I think she is feeling the pressure. You would have felt it when you spoke to her. But because of all her experience with these big professional boxing fights in these smelly, dungy, smoke-filled places with underground gangsters and horrible injuries, this is going to be like staying at the Hyatt. This is going to be like staying at the Hyatt after staying in a little Airbnb full of bunks for her. For Ronda Rousey, though, she is almost a god here. People are going to want to see Ronda destroy her in the first round. So what's she going to think if she can't do that? I'm really interested to see what's going to happen.
What's your take?
I agree. I think the pressure is on Ronda Rousey. She really is captaining this card. Like Denis said, a lot of these people, I don't know if there's there probably won't be 70,000. Let's say there's 50 or 60. A huge portion of that will be here to see Ronda Rousey finish Holly Holm in the first round, because really that's all they know. If that doesn't happen, how is Ronda going to do mentally? So, and like you said, Holly was tearing up at the weigh-ins. There was, not the weigh-ins, the media day. I'm not sure if you noticed. You probably did, because you like to study people and their character and, their smiles and things like that. But Holly Holm at the open workouts, very happy, very jovial. She has gone down I don't want to say an emotional decline, but she's a very different person, and I feel like she's holding strong, whereas Ronda, she's sort of spiking here and there. I feel like there's a lot of pressure on Ronda Rousey.
Let's not forget, let's address the elephant in the room. There's some issues around the Rousey camp. We don't want to get into it too much. We were talking to Edmund just a couple of days ago, and he's in great spirits, but there's issues around him. There's the stuff that's happened with him, and Edmund. Coming down to Australia, Ariel will tell your listeners, it's a long trip. This is on the other side of the world. It's just a lot to deal with. Also, she's got her movies. When is she going to crack? Is she going to crack at all? It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen.
Great point as well. I have noticed a lot of Ronda's familiar family members are here. No sign of her mom, at least the entourage backstage at the weigh-in. So officially, let's go on the record. What's your prediction for Sunday morning here in Melbourne?
I'm going to say Ronda Rousey, third round submission. I don't think that Holly Holm will be able to stay on the outside. I think that would be her game. I think Holly's going to try and stay on the outside. I don't think she'll be able to do it for 5 rounds. Eventually, Ronda Rousey will close the distance. When that happens, she will take her down from the clinch, and I think submission in the third round.
Your pick?
I think if Ronda wins, it has to be in the first 2 rounds. I'm going to go Ronda Rousey submission in the second round. If it's out of that second round, I strongly suggest everybody jumps on their betting apps and tries to put some stuff down. And just also on this card, Ariel, just before we go, I just want to say Jared Rochold versus Stefan Struve. Terrible matchup to kick off the main card.
You're upset about this?
I'm very upset about this in the sense that great guys, great fighters. I don't really think the matchup makes sense. I don't think this is the right place to do it, and it's certainly not a main card fight. There's guys on the prelims like Jake Matthews. There's other guys on the prelims. Steve Kennedy, Richard Walsh, Dan Kelly. These guys would do great in the opening up the main card, especially Jake Matthews. I just don't feel that the Stefan Struve, Jared Rochold fight has any significance for the fans here, and the way it's been put together, it may not be the most exciting fight. Now, me and Kacper, we wanted to see that Mitrione fight happen, the one that was supposed to happen. It would have made a lot more sense. Mitrione is great with the crowd. I think the Australians really like him. Rochold, he'd do great in the States. He's got his fan base there. I'm just not sure why fly him all the way down to Australia.
Wow, look at Denis spitting hot fire over here. I like it very much. Well, let me ask you guys about Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Valerie Letourneau, because I think that Joanna, could be the big winner come Sunday afternoon here. A lot of people are going to tune in to watch Ronda, people who are fans of women's MMA who may not know who she is, and then see this woman in the cage, on the mic. If she does what she can do in this fight, she could be a huge star. Her stock is going to just skyrocket. Do you think Valerie, after saying all that, has any chance of derailing her?
Absolutely. Me and Kacper, we spent some time with Valerie leading into this week. We spent time with her in a hotel room, had a good conversation on and off the camera, and I'll tell you, she is sure that she's going to win this fight. She's not afraid of Joanna. I'm not sure how much the mental stuff has worked. Obviously, we just saw the weigh-in. She looks a little bit frazzled, but from what we know, she's doing this for her daughter. She's got a young daughter. She had her at a very young age. She's had a very difficult life. She's fought some very tough fighters. For her, this is a big, big opportunity. We spoke about it with her. We said it was her Rocky moment. She agreed. Who knows? Maybe she'll be yelling Adrian in the cage. We're not sure. But I actually picked this. I actually think she's got a very, very good shot at beating Joanna.
So that's all well and good, but really, when it's all said and done, she is a gigantic underdog. How does she win this fight?
Valerie or Joanna?
Valerie.
Well, she's the best striker, or one of the best strikers Joanna has faced recently. You look at Jessica Penne. She's a BJJ specialist. You look at Carla Esparza. Great wrestler and a great fighter, but some would say she's slightly one-dimensional. Valerie Letourneau, she's very, very tough. She takes a lot of punishment in her fights. Joanna dishes it out, but I do think Valerie will be able to take it at least for quite a while, and she's no stranger to wars. I think Valerie's going to keep coming. She's very technical as well. She's got the reach. She's got the size. I still think Joanna does have the speed advantage, and I think she'll finish her, again, possibly in the third round.
All right, let's. You want to win?
And just on that, we spoke to her camp ADT, Hector Lombard. They really feel like she'll be able to take Joanna down at will. She's got some great judo. She's not going to approach this thing with just the same takedowns that Joanna defended in her last fight, obviously. This is going to be a mixture of judo takedowns, wrestling takedowns. They're going to throw it all at her, and Hector Lombard is sure he could take her down at will.
By the way, what's with all the flies here? I feel like it's an invasion.
They weren't
or an
here before you got here. No, just
geez.
kidding. You know?
Okay.
It's just an issue. Melbourne's got a very weird weather. They're
Yes.
all over the place. We were at the scrums.
Yes.
Trying to do the scrum, and there was a fly between Ronda Rousey, going between my face and Ronda Rousey's face like that.
Wow.
I was afraid
How
to try
lucky
and
are you?
swat it. Well, I couldn't swat it because what if you touch the champ? Then I got an issue.
You don't want to do that. Okay, let's go rapid fire now. Mark Hunt looks to be in the best shape of his career. He's fighting Bigfoot. An amazing fight the first time. It ended in a draw, somewhat tainted because of the post-fight drug test. Bigfoot not on testosterone. He's been drug tested 4 times randomly. Who do you got?
I've got Mark Hunt. I think Bigfoot could do the same game plan. He could keep him at range. He says it's the best he's felt since getting off TRT. I think Mark Hunt, with his recent, weight loss and looking as good as he does training in AK Thailand, I've got Mark Hunt round 2. KO.
Your pick?
Walk away KO in the first round.
All right.
Yeah.
Robert Whittaker against Uriah Hall. Another fascinating matchup. Uriah Hall coming off that big win over Gegard Mousasi not that long ago in Japan. Whittaker fighting sort of on his home turf here. Who do you got?
I've got Robert Whittaker via decision.
You?
Robert Whittaker's going to stop Uriah Hall in this fight in the second round. I think he is one of the most underlooked fighters in the UFC because he's a part of Australia. The stuff that he did to Tavares over there in Adelaide was amazing. People didn't really pay much attention to it. This is going to be his big coming out party.
You guys aren't biased here, right?
No.
You're not picking
We've
with
spent we've spent a lot of time with Rob, and we know what he's capable of. And we were talking to Uriah. He's a great fighter, but I really believe that Robert Whittaker has what it takes. And if you go around to the people that know what he's capable of, this isn't an upset. They believe Robert's going to win this.
Struve Rochelle, your favorite fight. Who do you got?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think Struve's going to come back from all the adversity that he's faced. I think he's going to beat Rochelle. I think it's going to be a decision win.
Your pick?
I agree. I think Struve will probably... I don't think Rochelle's going to be able to get on top of Struve and not get submitted. So I think Struve will probably submit him in the 3rd round.
And final question, this card is filled with a lot of great local talent. You guys, as I've said, have been following the scene for quite some time. Pick out a name that the fans back home in America should really look out for on the prelims.
Jake Matthews. He's main eventing the prelims.
Yep.
Like Denis, I think he should have been kicking off the main card. He lost to James Vick. A lot of people thought he should have won that fight. He got caught. This is his rebound fight. Definitely keep your eye on Jake Matthews. I do think, I'm not going to say he's going to be the future of the division, but he's a big, fast riser, and he's only 21 years old.
Yes, how about you?
Richard Walsh is fighting a guy called Steve Kennedy. He was fighting in Berlin on short notice. Steve Kennedy is a trash talker. He's like the Chael Sonnen of Australian MMA. If he's able to beat Richard Walsh, you might see another big star coming out of this one. He looks in great shape, so keep an eye on him.
Guys, tremendous stuff. The rest of the crew back home has just been put on notice by 2 first-timers over here. Unbelievable insight by Kacper and Denis. Like I said, go to YouTube, type in Submission Radio and their shows each and every week. Great interviews, great insight. You're missing out, honestly, if you're not watching these guys, listening to these guys as well. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the insight. We're going to be here early Sunday morning. It's normal time back home in the States, so don't get confused. Saturday night over there. But it's UFC 193. Like I said, we are just hours away now from what could very well be the biggest event in UFC history. Do not go anywhere. Thank you for watching our coverage leading up to this point. We'll see you fight night. Enjoy the fights.